Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Brian Brox. He's a pollster and director of US public policy at Tulane University in New Orleans. Great to talk to you today, Brian. When we look at the narrative, I suppose you'd say, of Trump supporters, that all of these charges are spurious, do the fact that these charges are different to the earlier charges, does it make any difference?
No, I don't think it does. Trump supporters are very dedicated to him, and they are convinced, both in their own minds as well as from the media, the news that they're watching, that this is a conspiracy against him. They approved of his presidency, they approve of him running again, and they are they're more committed to him than they are to considering the possibility that he has committed a crime.
Is there anything he could do or be charged with that would stop these people supporting him?
There will be a group that will support him no matter what. I suppose if they actually witnessed him committing a crime live on camera, that might affect things. But the suspicion is so deep among many of his supporters that there's very little that he could do to lose their support.
So those are the people that will back Trump pretty much no matter what. But that certainly isn't all Republicans, is it? But what
No.
of his competitors? Ron DeSantis, 30% trailing Trump in the polls at the moment. Are any of the competitors strong enough to overtake him?
It's hard to predict, but it seems as though Governor DeSantis is the only plausible alternative to Donald Trump at this point. The problem is that Donald Trump's support is so concentrated, and many of his supporters will not abandon him. And so all the Republicans who are concerned about his possible renomination are split among many other candidates. With so many other candidates in the race, they're splitting support. And as we go through the nomination contests early in 2024, Donald Trump will continue to win primaries and pick up delegates for the Republican convention as long as his opposing vote within the Republican Party is split.
And there's nothing do you think that we will see the other side of the Republican Party try to coalesce, to try to get behind just one candidate? Will that help?
Well, that would help if you're looking to nominate a Republican who is not former President Trump. After the debates that will happen this fall, after additional fundraising, and if fundraising numbers are lackluster, I suspect some of the trailing candidates will start to leave the race, as well as after the first couple of primary contests. Once this becomes a 2 or 3 person race, then many voters may see who are the potential plausible alternatives and who might best face off against President Biden in November of 2024. But right now, the alternatives are too numerous, and Trump's support is solid.
And the problem for the Republican Party is, of course, this is all fine if the Trump supporters then turn out to be enough across the country to get him back into power. But Republicans don't want to lose this election, do they?
They do not. They also want to reclaim control of the United States Senate. They also want to retain control of the United States House of Representatives, which they hold by only a 4-seat margin. So Republican turnout in November of 2024 is very important. Many Donald Trump supporters, if he is not the Republican nominee, may choose to sit out the election, which means that they would probably not be voting for Republicans for governor, for Senate, for United States House, and for state and local offices. So maintaining the support of these individuals, should Trump not achieve the nomination, will be a tricky task for the Republican Party.
I mean, these charges that Trump's facing are really serious. I mean, if he goes to prison, could he actually still run?
He can still run. There's nothing in the Constitution that prevents somebody who is convicted of these charges from running. I am not familiar with all 50 states in terms of whether someone who is convicted of a felony would have ballot access. But at this point, the threat to Donald Trump is more political than it is legal in terms of the politics of it, and whether it's Republican primary voters or general election voters, particularly moderates and those unaffiliated with a party, would entertain the thought of voting for someone in the presidential election who has been convicted of a crime. So we are a polarized country, but there are still enough in the middle that will tip the difference between President Biden, former President Trump, and with a conviction, the votes of those individuals would become very, very crucial. And it seems like a tough ask for a hypothetically convicted Donald Trump to ask those people to support him.
He's surprised us before, though, hasn't he? Brian Brox, great to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.